I am in my room and I'm going to film this video. It's a very personal video where I'm going to talk about my past relationship and the abuse from that relationship and how it affected me. I was in a relationship for 4 years and I got a baby out of it. And I'm talking about it because it's important that I deal with it. Excuse my mess back there. I'm in the process of organizing my room, and that was my stuff from school. And I don't know where to put it now. But yeah. So let me turn my TV off. Okay, I'm back. Like I was saying, I was in a relationship for 4 years and I ended up having a baby out of it. And I'm just talking about it because I'm really on this thing where I'm trying to really, empty out everything and refocus myself and refocus the situation. I'm really trying to let go of everything that it did to me and just trying to move on. And I feel like the best way to move on is to just talk about it and I don't know, pray that it helps someone, pray that it helps me. Yeah. So I have a little note here because I filmed this video already, but I felt like it was all over the place and super emotional. So I almost cried a couple times. So I refilmed it. Well, I am refilming it now. Okay, that was a long intro. Anyway, so how we met. We met in 2011. We met because one of his friends had came to my school and he was with them, and then the guy was talking to one of my friends. So his friend was talking to one of my friends. That's how we met. We all hung out one time, and after that, like, me and him just kept hanging out and things started to click from there. There was actually a sign when we first met because he was like on the phone going off, like blanket on some girl, and I was like, why are you talking to her like that, and why are you lying to her? Because he told her that he was like at our school, like because we went to the same school. I didn't know him at that time, but we did go to the same school. So he was lying to her, telling her that he was at the school game. But I was like, dude, you're definitely in another city, definitely in my dorm, so why are you lying? And then he made up some story like it was her and she did all this stuff to him and she hurt him and all this other stuff. So he just sounded like a little wounded puppy. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can help you, be better or whatever. So yeah, that was he was really going off on her, but he made it seem like it was the girl's fault, and I believed him because I didn't know her, and he did seem kind of hurt and sad. So I was like, maybe. That was probably in September 2011. Then after that, I went home. We started dating, and things got weird because I was supposed to come home every other weekend to go to church. And I didn't want to because I had a boyfriend or a guy I was talking to, and I had school. I was a freshman in college, and I wanted to go out and hang out with friends and stuff, and I didn't want to come home one weekend because that's my only time to hang out. So me and my family had a little pull and tug there, and it didn't go well. But that's when me and him started to get like closer, when I started to lose touch with my family because he was kind of like, all I had, because I was choosing to stay at school, not come home as much, so that way we could go on dates and stuff, because I couldn't date him when I was at home. I asked, so I was told no, so I didn't. I was like, I'm not coming home then if I can't go out on a date. Like, that's craziness. Who would do that? So that's when me and him started to go closer, and I believe that was like part of the problem, was because like I felt like I didn't have anybody. Like, I felt like I didn't have anyone but him, and that's when it like really started. My 19th birthday, he got on 2 buses to come and bring me a cake and some food that my mom got me for my birthday. And I felt like, I'm like, yo, this dude got on 2 buses to come see me and bring me this stuff, and to make my birthday something, because it was really turned out to be nothing. So I was like, okay, I like him. He's good. He's good news. He's the one. Did we fight a lot? I don't think we fought a lot my freshman year. Honestly, I don't. I think it was like pretty still chill my freshman year. I'm pretty sure we had like a few arguments, but I don't think it was like anything outside of what I would consider like even remotely normal. Then the summer of 2012, me and my family continued to fight and stuff because I wanted freedom and they didn't want to give me any, so we continued to fight. And I ended up getting into a big argument and then ended up getting put out, and he was the first person to come pick me up, and he made sure I was okay, and he took me, you know, back to his sister's or whatever, so I could, you know, have somewhere to stay for the night. So of course after that, you know, played more into the, you know, we all we got type of mentality. From that point on, I did not stay there, though. I only stayed one night and then I ended up going to go stay with my dad, blah 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 blah, not important to the story. When I got back to school my sophomore year, I became like severely depressed. Like when I say I wouldn't get out of bed unless it was to go to class, I was hardly eating, or either I was overeating. Can't remember. Pretty sure I started overeating at that point. That's how I got all thick. But yeah, I would like cry every time like somebody from my family called me, which was very rare. But my roommate, like, I don't even know how she put up with me at that point because I was a mess. Yeah, I just remember being depressed. Like I was going through stuff, my mom was going through stuff, and I would hear about it while I was at school and couldn't do anything about it. Like it was bad. Like I barely made it through, and thanks to one of my professors, I did. She helped me to, you know, keep going, and I always have like the utmost respect for her. But yeah, and during that time I was going through all that stuff with like my family and school, wanting to drop out, wanting to quit, not even wanting to get up, period. Like me and him started fighting. That's like when it started, like because he was going through his own thing back where he at home where he was. He would call me so much, and I'm like, dude, I'm at school, I'm in class, like I'm trying to do some work, and he'd be like, all right, I'll call you later, and then he called me back in like 5 minutes, and I was like, yo, like I need you to pump your brakes. But I mean, I thought that was just a part of the relationship, and then it started becoming more emotionally and mentally abusive because he would just start arguments. He would make me feel guilty for not having time to talk to him. He would like call me names and stuff. It would get to the point where like I would be having an okay day, and then he would call me and just blank on me for whatever reason. I guess because he was going through his own thing back at home. I'm sorry if you see that. That's my ring light. I couldn't put it in front of me because I have a mirror right there. But yeah, so he would just argue with me and yell at me, and then I'd be like trying to go to class or trying to take a test or something, and then he would start arguing with me right before that. And like I said, it was already like I was already going through my own thing of being depressed, not really talking to my family or being near them, like feeling like I didn't have anyone, and then all I had was him, and then he was mistreating me. So it was like super duper hard. And I wasn't really talking to my friends at the time, so it was just like I was a lone stranger, and the only person who I had to me was like continuously like hurting me. And then it wasn't like it was all bad. Of course, the relationship was not all bad. It was some good too. Like I said, he was a good person. He did go out of his way to do things for me, but when it was bad, it was horrible. Like when it was bad, it was bad. But I mean, I guess it got better because let's see. After my sophomore year, I don't think my mood, me emotionally, got any better. I do remember my aunts coming and get me one night because it had gotten so bad that I just was like, forget it. I'm gonna call my family and I'm just gonna tell them that I'm just going through it. And it was, you know, partially because of him and all the stuff that he was doing to me and saying to me. Like I just felt broken, and I felt like I had nothing, and I knew that if I called my family that they would come, and they came and picked me up in the middle of the night. Like I guess they knew it was that serious. I'm getting all emotional. I guess they knew it was that serious, so they came and they got me. And I don't know, like for a whole year, that one time I felt okay. Then of course we did not break up. We continued to date. I'm gonna fast forward to the end of my sophomore year. We ended up moving in together, which was horrible idea, but we did it. Because we felt like we all we got, and we had to take care of each other because he was going through his stuff, I was going through my stuff. But you know, I don't know, something in that bad situation made us feel like at least we can go through all the horrible shit together. So we ended up moving in together, and it was fine. It was fine until one day when school started back, my old roommate had came over, and I was supposed to cook dinner, and then me and him got into an argument, and for the first time ever, he like put his hands on me. He just like threw me down on the bed, and that was like a big thing to me because he always, you know, talked down to me. He always, you know, talked about me. He always tried to make me feel guilty, send me on guilt trips and, you know, stuff like that. But that was the first time that he ever like physically put his hands on me, and it did something to me, like on the inside. I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Excuse my language, but I mean it. And then yes, I just had like this big blow up, and I just like ran out the house, and then my friend had to come and get me. And after that, like, me and her were never the same because I guess she had had enough. Like, she had saw me through my sophomore year being depressed, and him being one of the main reasons for me, you know, being depressed and dealing with my stress. And then to come to my house and be stuck at my house and have to deal with, you know, seeing that, like, I guess that was, I don't know, maybe that was a lot for her. So me and her weren't the same after that. And I can understand why I wouldn't, you know, wish that on anybody. I wouldn't wish it on myself. But I stayed in that situation because, I don't know why. I just did. I don't really think that people who are in abusive relationships know why they stay in them, because you feel like you can fix them or whatever. But while I was there, things just kept getting worse. Like, we would argue and fight. One time we were arguing and stuff, and he punched a hole in the wall. Or like, I was on my way to take a midterm, and I had to take a bus to get to school, and he took my keys and threw them outside, and I had to go find them, and I almost missed the bus and missed my midterm. I had an A in that class. I got a D on that midterm, which made me have a C. So I was very distraught. We argued the whole bus ride. We argued the whole way up until I got into the midterm. Once I took it, he called me. I answered like a dumbass, and we argued after my midterm. I didn't have any friends at that point. I didn't have anybody to talk to, so it was just me and him. And we constantly got into arguments, and to the point where I was just like, forget it. I don't want to do this anymore. So the spring semester starting in January, I moved out. He moved back to where he was, because he moved up to the city where my school was, and then he ended up moving back. And it was really emotional for us, like, going our separate ways, but we knew that we needed to, because one time, like, he even called the police on himself. And that was crazy to me, because I'm like, why are you calling police on yourself? Like, I was more scared for him than for me, because he was the one who was, you know, enraged, like, arguing and stuff. And I'm like, if you call the police on yourself, then they're going to lock you up. Like, why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. But he did it, and they just told us, like, go into separate rooms and, you know, chill the fuck out. So we did that, and then moved back on campus. We weren't talking or dating for a couple months. I thought that I would get my friends back if I broke up with him, because I felt like that's what everybody wanted me to do, and I thought that I would get the support that I needed from my friends if me and him weren't together. That did not happen. It didn't happen at all. I remember my birthday, like, my friends barely showed up, and then I had a whole bunch of new people there who I had just met, who supported me, you know, way better than my friends did. So slowly but surely, he worked his way back in with apologizing and telling me that he wouldn't do stuff to me like that again. Of course, we still argued and fought in my dorm room, and I thought it was getting better, and didn't get any better. So the summer of 2013, I believe it was, we ended up moving back in together, back to our hometown. We ended up moving back in together. Was that 2013? Oh, no. Nope. That was 2014. I just talked about 2013 when I was a sophomore. 2014, I was a junior, and we moved in together that summer. I was only staying for the summer because I was supposed to move in with one of my friends to finish out my senior year. I ended up getting pregnant. Prior to me getting pregnant, we got into a lot more fights, and the fights started to get more than just verbally and emotionally abusive. They started to get physically abusive. One time, like, we got to a fight. He threw me on a bed and he was just like punching my legs, and I bruised very easily, so I had like bruises on my thighs, but I covered it up with my pants. So, you know, I kind of felt like it was my fault for making him that angry to, you know, have to do that. And I felt bad for him that he did it, because he felt bad that he did it. So, of course, my natural reaction in that state of mind I was in was to comfort him and not worry about me. Then another time that I like remember was like we was in the kitchen, and I can't remember what we got into an argument about, but he, like, none of our arguments were ever significant, like none of them. Like, one time we got into an argument because he told me he was hungry, and I made him a sandwich, and then I made like a half sandwich, you know, one where you like fold over. And then we got into an argument because he was like, why wouldn't you make me a full sandwich? And I was like, because you just asked for one sandwich. So I thought if I made you a half sandwich, then, you know, that would be a bonus. And he was pretty much like, no. And we argued, argued bad over that half sandwich. And I was like, this shit is ridiculous. Yeah. So, back to my story. One time, I don't remember what the argument was about, but we were in the kitchen and he had me by my neck up against the wall. And then he let me go. And it was just, if you hear some noise, it's my baby. It was just really, it was a lot. And after he let me go, I just felt like nothing. Like, I just felt empty and everything. So I went in the room where he was laying, because I guess he was like trying to figure out what he just did. And I like got on top of him and was asking him like why he didn't love me and why would he do that to me and why would he treat me like that. And I was basically like throwing myself at him, and he looked at me and was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why would you do that? And I really don't know. I don't know why I did it. I don't know what the fuck was wrong with me. Like, I have no idea, you know, what was wrong with me. I felt like I needed him, and I'm supposed to do everything that he wants me to do. And when I don't do it, it's my fault. And if we get into an argument, it's my fault, and it's always my fault. But then I would tell him that he's the crazy one, because, I mean, I felt like he was. Like, I didn't know where arguments would start out of fucking half sandwiches and crazy things, and it will always end up being like, you made me do this and da da da, and then I'll be like, okay, whatever, like, I did it, and move on, because it's just the way that I handle stuff. Like, if something happens to me, I say, all right, cool, and I move on. It's that simple to me. With just about any situation that I'm in, I don't hold on to anything. I don't hold on to grudges, but this particular situation lasted for years, and it was like deep inside me, because if the person that you love and who say they love you and you feel like they're all you have, and you really like turned away from your family, turned away from your friends to be with this person, and they are, you know, disrespecting you, calling you out types of bitches and whatever, saying that you're useless, you're never gonna be nothing, you're never gonna have anything, you know, saying that, like, the moment when you realize that they don't love you, the better off you'll be. Like, he actually said that to me in front of his family, and well, in front of his little cousins. And turn my phone on vibrate, and that just stuck with me, because I was just like, okay, he doesn't mean it. He didn't mean it. He didn't mean to say that. So I'm just gonna forgive him, because yeah, I know he didn't mean to say that, because he does love me, because he still is here. He still, you know, is here for me, and I'm still here for him. So I know he doesn't mean it, but he definitely did. After that, all that fighting and stuff, things were okay for a while. Out of nowhere, I ended up getting pregnant. Not really out of nowhere. I'm pretty sure I knew. But the day we found out I was pregnant, we went and sat down in the parking lot of our apartment complex, and I told him that if he did not change, I would take my baby, and I was out. I was gonna leave, because I wouldn't let my baby watch me get physically, mentally, or emotionally abused. Like, I wouldn't do it, because I saw what happened to the women in my family. I saw what happened to my friends and stuff. I mean, none of my friends were really in an abusive relationship that I could see, but like, I saw like them get disrespected and cheated on. I didn't get cheated on. It was just me getting, you know, treated that way. Yeah, so I ended up getting pregnant, and I feel like that's one of the worst things that could have ever happened to me, because I always told myself if I ever got pregnant by him that I would have an abortion, because I would never want to raise a child who has a dad like that, because his temper went from 0 to 100 real quick, and I felt like I was the only person in the world who could honestly handle him and handle, you know, that situation. But I couldn't do it. I ended up having my baby. She's beautiful and I don't regret it, but it is hard, very, very hard, because the emotional, mental abuse never stopped, not even for a second. When we were in the hospital after I had her, during my pregnancy, he would, you know, he was okay at points. I remember I did have to move out because we were still arguing. It was stressful and I was pregnant, so I had to move out. He didn't put his hands on me while we were pregnant. Yeah, we were pregnant. Then I ended up going back because it just didn't work out. I missed my bed and cable, so I was like, I can put up with it so I can lay in a bed and not be hot. It was dumb, but I did go back. Yeah, I definitely went back. When we were in the hospital having her, he was going through his own issues. We later realized that he was sick, but because of that, he kind of put all that emotion that he had on me. Like he put everything on me. So when he would get upset about him being sick, it was kind of my fault. And when we were in the hospital, we got some multiple arguments. So he told me he was gonna leave me and the baby, and he was still calling me names. Like, mind you, this is only like maybe a couple hours after I just pushed out a baby, when he's telling me that he's gonna leave me in the hospital. And I know my family would have came and got me. Like, I know that if any of them knew what was really going on, that they would have came and got me. But I felt like I was deep into it. Like, I was deep into it. I was deep into him, and there was like nothing I could do. Like, I felt stuck. He didn't leave me, of course. But we got back home and we just kept arguing. And I remember, like, I would always go to be with my family with the baby because he was working. He always worked late and stuff, and they were just really helpful. And I was also in school, so at the time I was about to graduate from college, so I needed help. So one night he asked me to come home so he could, you know, be with the baby. So I came home, and then he tried to leave to go gamble with his dad, and I was like, you just asked me to come home. I could have stayed where I was at, got me some rest, let her, you know, do her thing. And we argued over that. He kept trying to leave. I stood in front of the door. Then he pushed me. I had put my baby like on, we had a little L-shaped couch, and I put her on the edge of the couch. And then he pushed me, and I like came back at him. Like, he pushed me like out the way, and then I blocked the door again. And then we just started like going, like, because I had never hit him back. Like, never. When he hit me, I never hit him back because I knew that that would just escalate and it wouldn't turn out any good. But at that point, I just had enough. So we ended up fighting. And in the midst of like us fighting, he had pushed me and I fell on top of my baby. And I was trying to fight my way off of her, but he was in such a rage that he wasn't paying attention to where he pushed me. So me trying to get up off her, after, like, I was trying to fight my way off her, and then he was like punching me and stuff. And I finally got off of her and picked her up, and then I just called the police. And I called my aunt because, of course, I didn't call the police first. I didn't want anything to happen to him. But then I ended up calling the police because she told me to, and I needed somebody to tell me to call them. And it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made. I ended up getting my stuff out the house and leaving. I didn't file any paperwork, anything on him, because he was going through something with one of his family members who was going to jail, and I could not do that to him. Like, I don't know. Everybody says I always think about him way more than I should, and if he was thinking about me, then none of this stuff would ever happen to me. But yeah, so I didn't do anything. Yeah, then after that, I moved in with my aunt, and I stayed there for a while. Me and him kept trying to make it work because we both wanted a family. We both wanted our daughter to have a family, but it just wasn't working because we continued to fight, not physically. The next physical fight we got into was when I went to go pick up some of my stuff from the house. He was there, and I was holding her, and I was standing in between like our bed and her crib, and then he headbutted me, and he like I had a cut under my eye, and then my eye swelled up. He broke my glasses because they like broke on my face and they cut my face. And I'm pretty sure it was Wednesday night because I had to go to church with my friends. So I had to get some concealer and stuff and try and fix my eye because it had turned black and a whole bunch of other stuff. And in that moment, he started crying and like, what did I do, and all this other type of stuff. And I was trying to calm him down, but I mean, my baby was crying because he headbutted me while I was holding her. And I realized at that point, at that very point, that he was not controllable anymore. He headbutted me while I was holding my baby, and then he headbutted me in my face, and I could not cover that up. I could not hide that. Like, there's nothing I can do to hide, nothing I can do to hide that. Like, it is what it is. Like, you got there, you went there, you did that. Yeah. So let's turn the page and see where we are. After that, we definitely did not work out. He would help me out with her sometimes. He would help me out with taking me to work and stuff, but we continued to argue. He was still like emotionally abusive. He still like called me all types of bitches and hoes and stuff. He still did a lot of stuff. And it was crazy because one time I had posted like some of the text messages that he sent me to my Facebook page, and he called me and told me that people were laughing at me and that people didn't care and that people thought it was funny. And I was like, how could people think that you calling a person who birthed your child a bitch, a hoe, a slut, saying that she's worthless, saying that she ain't gonna never make nothing, calling her fat, all this other stuff, how could somebody think that that was funny? Because from that came something. And the thing that makes me mad the most and really gets under my skin is people think that we broke up because I started dating somebody else. Granted, that night that I had to call police on him the first time when we had the fight where I fell on my daughter, well, he pushed me onto her. I was talking that night. One of my old friends had called me, like that night once everything was over, and I talked to him and we started talking just as friends because we've been friends for years. And after that, me and him started talking, but it was strictly talking because I like was trying to get away from him. Like I was trying to get out of that situation, so I wasn't trying to put anybody else into that mix. So, but saying that, like, that's where all, like, that became even more rage, and that's what he used to tell his family and his friends that was the reason why I left him and why I took his baby from him and all that type of stuff. And I'm like, I never took your baby from you. You can have her anytime you want. You just only want her when it's inconvenient for me, or to try and hurt me, or to try and keep her from me. And I want my daughter to have a father. Like I do just about anything so that way she could have one. But it's getting to the point now where I'm really trying to rebuild myself from that situation. Like I've been like abused. I've been physically and mentally abused, and mental abuse is hard. Like physical abuse, I could get over it because, you know, it was scar and it would heal and it would just blend in and go away. But the emotional and mental abuse that he did to me was hard. It's still hard because I have a child with this man, and anytime I ask him for something or anytime he's in a bad mood and we talk, like when I see his name pop up on my phone, it literally just turns something in my stomach, and there's nothing that I can do about it because I have a daughter by him and I want him to be in my daughter's life, so I do my best to deal with it. But it's emotionally taxing on me because I'm so tired, and it's like I can't rebuild myself and I can't move on because I'm always dealing with the same thing. Like I took care of our daughter for a year because after we broke up, he said he couldn't handle it anymore and he left to go do whatever, you know. So I had to take care of her by myself. And then he finally comes back like months later, and when he came back, I had ended up quitting my job because I had a decent job, but I had to quit because I was having panic attacks and I was like depressed, and I was a single parent, and I was just trying to deal with it all, and I was like, fuck this, I'm not going back to the job, we gotta find something else to do. So I tried to do that, and when he came back, I wasn't working like that type of job anymore. I was still working, and I was still able to take care of myself, but he felt like that he had the right to call me, you know, names, call me broke, tell me that I wasn't taking care of my child correctly. But anybody who knows my child knows that she has everything, and like I do that, like me, and by the grace of God I have an awesome support system. But it didn't come from his family, it didn't come from any of his friends, it came from me and how hard I'm going for her. And he always throws it up in my face that now he has more money than me, now he can do more for her than I can. He always tries to threaten me that he's gonna take her from me, even though I have full custody of her, and for a very good fucking reason. But it's just a lot to have to deal with that, and it's like nobody really understands. Like when you go through something like that for so long, and then finally you're just like, I'm not about to deal with this anymore. Like when it was just me, I felt like I could change him, I could fix him, and I was willing to risk myself and my life for him. But then when I had my daughter, I was like, no, I'm not gonna risk her life for you. I did it almost 2 times, and the first time was too much, the second time was out of nowhere, and that was ridiculous. Like, and now I'm just like, I can't. And now I'm trying to be a good mother, and I'm trying to, you know, pursue my dreams and do something that makes me happy. I went back to school, and he paid $50 in child support a month. $50. And I asked him, in addition to the $50, can you pay her daycare? Which was also about $50 to $100 dependent. And every single month without fail, we argued and fought about it. And he would call me all types of broke bitches, saying, how can you be in school and working and not have enough money to pay $50 daycare? But I'm just like, yo, I'm in school, I'm working, I'm paying bills, I'm feeding your daughter, I'm taking care of her. Like, how do you think she gets around? You barely see her, and you only see her like once a month when you want to, you know. So somebody has to watch her. And it's just like, it never stops. It never stops. And nobody ever tells you, like, those people who are in those relationships where the people are abusive, emotionally, physically, whatever, sexually abusive to you, you know, once the relationship is over, you have to deal with yourself and you can move on. But nobody really talks about, like, what it's like to have to deal with yourself and trying to rebuild yourself emotionally, physically, and trying to make yourself whole again while you're trying to be a mom, while you're trying to work, while you're trying to go to school, while you're trying to, like, be out in the world and act like you're normal. Like, you're not normal anymore. Like, somebody has literally broken you down to the point where you felt like nothing, and you have to rebuild yourself into something. And it's hard every single day. And the only reason why I feel like I still do it is because of my daughter. Because I just refuse to let her see me give up. I refuse to let her see me, like, my faith waver or anything. Like, I refuse. So that's pretty much my story. I tried to rush through it because it's so long. The first time I filmed it, it was like an hour. And I was like, did I say too much? Did I not say enough? I try not to use anybody's names. But it's hard, and I just want people to know that even though it's hard, it's doable. I graduated with my first degree in psychology. I just graduated again with my esthetician license. I still have to take my state boards. I'm trying to raise money for that because I am broke. But I am doing it, and it's happening slowly but surely, and by the grace of God and my faith and my drive, I'm trying to make it happen. And I'm still dealing with my anxiety, I'm still dealing with the stress, I'm still dealing with my depression, I'm still trying to be a mom, I'm still trying to work, like, I'm still trying to do all these things. And most days I have a handle on my life until he calls or he texts me, and it's always a simple conversation like, hey, you left her bag, you want to come back and get it, just let me know what time. And then that turns into, oh, you stupid bitch, and you always think you can run some shit when you can't run nothing, and da 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 da. And I would, if you want receipts, I got them, because I know somebody who he knows is going to see this and think that I'm lying, and I'm not. For the past year, I've been recording our phone calls and keeping our text messages. I don't even have to keep our text messages because we get into a new argument every time, and it's the whole single thread of him just randomly blanking on me. Him threatening me. Like, he even threatened me. He was like, the guy who I ended up talking to ended up being my boyfriend. All this, me and him broke up back in 2015 when my daughter was 3 months old. And it wasn't because of a new guy. It was because he was abusing me. It was because he almost endangered our child twice. It was because we got into another argument after I moved out on my own and had to call the police on him. And he drove off and hit someone's car and threw my little cousin's laptop out the window. Like, those are things that people don't know, and I kept from people. So when you see me and you're like, oh, don't be acting like that, you know, things wasn't always bad between you and him, you don't know what the hell was happening in my house. You don't know what I kept from you. You don't know just because we were smiling in our picture doesn't mean that we weren't just fighting 10 minutes before. You have no fucking idea what people go through. Like, you have none. So when people see me and they give me a side-eye look like I was out here cheating on him or doing something like that, no. We broke up and I didn't say anything. We broke up and I just let it be because I didn't want anybody to judge him. I didn't want anybody feeling any type of way about him, and I didn't want anybody putting any stigmatisms on him because I felt like he went through a lot in his life and he had enough. But so did I. And he didn't care enough about me to not reopen some wounds that I had. So at this point, I'm just like, fuck it. Like, we argued over Christmas about my daughter because he said that he missed Christmas twice and he wanted to be with her, and I let him. And he threatened to not let me see my daughter on Christmas, not bring her back until Christmas was on Monday. He said he wasn't gonna bring her back till Wednesday, and then tried to play me because he bought her more gifts than I did and all this other type of stuff. And then he went and bought her the same gifts that I had just to be fucking petty. Like, nobody knows that shit. Do you know what it's like to go through shit like that and then try and judge somebody? Then you cannot judge anybody because you have no idea. No idea. And everybody think that, like, you're just being like, you're so strong and you're always promoting positivity. I try, but I mean, I do that for myself, not for anybody else. I try and live the most freaking positive life I can, and sometimes that shit just doesn't work out like I portray it. But online is online. Like, this is the raw and real me. I didn't put on any makeup. I didn't do anything to myself. I don't have no earrings on. I did put a handband on because it's on the floor and I picked it up, put it on my head. But I needed to vent. I needed to release. I need to finally tell people about what happened to me because I hope that my story will help somebody. And from this point on, I will be doing little talks like this, trying to help people who were abused and went through a lot as a child. I have so many more stories to tell, and also know what it's like to have a child and have all this and still have to try and deal with it, still have to try and, you know, live, move on, and prosper. It's hard, but it can be done. And I just, yep. Anywho, Nana, that is my story. I only almost cried twice. I tried to suck up all my tears so I can just get through it and put it out there. But if you are abused or being abused in any type of way, physically, mentally, emotionally, sexually abused, like, you need to talk to somebody and you need to listen. Because I talked to plenty of people and I did not listen because I knew I could fix them and I knew I could change them. And the fact was, I couldn't fix them because I didn't break them. And sometimes ride or die is not what it sounds like. Like, I almost died. I could have. Like, it started to escalate to the point where somebody would have been in jail or dead. You just have to listen to somebody and get out that situation. Muster up whatever energy you have and pray to God for God's will. I prayed so much that God, you know, fix relationships so we could stay together and make us happy together. And that wasn't what I was supposed to pray for. I was supposed to pray for God's will. And from that point on, after I was released of him, I prayed for God's will to be done. And me and him have not gotten back together. I haven't had any urge to get back with him. I realize now that I wasn't being treated like I was supposed to be. And I thank God for waking me up and letting me let go. Putting some people in my life to make me realize that that's not how you're supposed to be treated. Nobody is supposed to treat you like you're nothing, make you feel like you're nothing, and make you feel like you have nothing and no one, and that's all you have, and whatever they do to you, you're supposed to accept. That's not love. Absolutely not. And I'm just thankful to God that I got out. Even though I have my daughter and I'm still dealing with him and it on a daily basis, at least when I go to bed at night, he's not there. And when I wake up in the morning, he's not there. And if I want to block him from my phone, I can. That's my power. Thank you all for watching this video. I'm not sure. It was a lot. It was a lot for me. But I thank you all for watching. If you made it this far, please like, comment. I'm not sure if I want this video shared. I'm not even sure how long I'm going to keep it up. But if you must share, you must. But I just hope it helps someone. And I hope it helps people understand not everything is easy and not everything is going to have happy ending. But you have to change you in order to change your situation, because I couldn't change it. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.